Credit to Rice. They made some crucial plays down the stretch where I felt like we didn't execute the way that we completely needed to. But a game like that is hard to swallow because I felt like we played really, really hard. I'm mad on Tuesday night because we didn't give any effort. And those are the kind of wins those are kind of wins, but in my book, a loss you're really upset about. But, today, this one's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. And I saw a lot of young women in there that very emotional, probably more emotional than I've seen all year. And I take that as a good thing because that means it mattered. And I want it to hurt. I'm just being honest, I want it to hurt. I want it to hurt because I don't want them to put themselves in that situation to feel that way again. Because we will see them again. We'll see them again, and we'll remember this feeling, and we'll make sure, that we don't feel this way again. But, I thought, we fought. We made some really good plays offensively. I just thought probably the last 30-some seconds of the game we didn't execute the way we needed to defensively. And then I thought once we got the 6-point lead, we got a little stagnant, kind of stood around a little bit instead of just continuing to execute the offense and continuing to be aggressive. But, May right here fought her butt off, 18 points, 14 rebounds, second double-double in a row. So just a good game, a game I wish would have went the other way, but a game I know we'll get another opportunity to see.
Coach, you mentioned you might see Rice again, in the American title. What will you have to do just a little bit better next time, or a little bit different to kind of get over the line?
Can't let them get wide open threes. We talked about that. Any game that they've been behind in, they've hit big time threes, down the stretch, last 2 minutes. And so we talked about not allowing them to get easy, wide open shot threes. And I thought throughout the game we gave them too many of that. But we're going to look at the rest of this thing as a 3-game tournament, starting with Memphis on Wednesday, because our goal now is to lock up second place. And so we can put ourselves in a position to really feel good about going into the tournament and have an opportunity to compete for a championship.
Ajane, it seemed like late in the game, it got really, really physical down low. What can you learn from that, good and bad? Because obviously you played really well, but the result didn't go as you guys wanted.
I think we took advantage of when Pace wasn't in the game for the most part, and when she came back in, I felt like we had to adjust. I personally think I could have did a little bit better getting in front of her towards the end of the game. We just had a bunch of miscommunication of how to guard the ball, which I'm not sure of because I feel like we did the best we could for 3.5 quarters. But we just got to figure out how to talk and communicate. Maybe we'll communicate, but we also have to listen and receive it. So I just, like Coach Kim said, I'm just ready to get back in and it hurts, but I mean it's nothing we could do about it but change it and be better for the next game.
Coach, you guys have been really great on defense this season, just statistically kind of looking at the numbers. How have you gotten this team to really lean into that mindset of being really solid on that end before?
Yeah, we've had to change some things. We don't run our matchup as much. I just feel like there's too many new people out there to do that. So I've kind of adjusted and just put our team in a situation to be successful. And I think right now being a man-to-man team is what's going to allow us to be successful. And so, we're pretty versatile on both sides of the floor, offensively and defensively, and we can put ourselves in situations where we can switch and take things away. We got post players that can go out on the perimeter. We got feisty guards, just having that fight and understanding that, defense travels. And if you defend and rebound, you always have an opportunity to win the game. And I think that's what put us in a situation to win the game because I thought we got some really key stops down the stretch. We made them take tough shots. The goal was to make them make tough twos over top of us. And I thought there was 3 or 4 possessions where, we really did a good job defending. We made them take tough shots, and we finished it with a rebound.
Coach, I know they're not a real up-tempo team, but speaking of forcing them tough shots, I think they only had 4 fast break points tonight. How do you feel like the transition defense was?
I thought it was okay. I thought we gave up a couple of threes that we talked about not giving up. And that was a huge focus of the game was to make sure we didn't give them wide open threes. They're making about 8 a game, and the goal was to keep them under 5. I see here they got 6. But, they shot 29% from the field. I think they're leading the league in offensive in field goal percentage. They're leading the league in scoring. We held them to 60. We didn't give them 58, but you know, in a game like that with two teams that, you know, the top two teams in the league, that's the way it's supposed to look. You know, it's supposed to come down to the wire, and you know what we've got to learn from is that we just got to execute better down the stretch in order to win games like this.
I mean, obviously you want to win every game, but nobody won a conference championship today. Nobody lost a conference championship today. Coach Kim already mentioned that you hope to see these ladies again in the conference championship games. What can you take away from this hard-fought blue-collar game, and hopefully when you see them again?
Honestly, the game's over. We can't worry about Rice anymore. We gotta look at the next opponent. We played Memphis, and they gave us, you know, it came down to the wire here. So we're going into their house. It's gonna be they're a tough team as well. So I mean, we just gotta continue to do the things, the little things, which is really been our Achilles heel, is the little things. It's not the big things. So the little things like communication, rotating, taking charges, just the small things. We just gotta continue to do that and lock in and continue to go from there.
Coach, I was just going to ask you kind of big picture, you know, like this conference, we've been in it for a couple of years now, and it feels like it's a little underrated, you know, but at the top of this league, like, you got some really good teams, you know, you guys in Rice and USF, what kind of makes that top, you know, so good and these games so competitive and so emotional like we have today?
Yeah, I think they're really good players in this league. You know, we are the underdog kind of league. I don't think we get enough credit for the players that we have in this league, nor do we get credit for the coaches that we have in this league. You know, we got some really good coaches that can, you know, really, you know, coach and you know, really motivate their teams and get them playing, you know, probably a little bit better than what they are. You know, so, you know, we're just, you know, keep battling for our league. You know, last year our league was the team that had got poached the most with players going into the P4. You know, so we're obviously doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, we'll just keep playing and, you know, showing the best show that we can give, and hopefully, you know, people will start to take notice.
Anything else? All right, thanks everyone.
Thanks, Coach.